Everybody, this is the Gym Boss Podcast, and I am Jimmy, your host as always. And in this episode, we're going to be diving into critical thinking. And what I mean by that is the thought processes that we need to go through to be able to grow a successful business. And in this case, we're gyms. So how to grow a successful gym and be able to then pass this knowledge on to your rest of your team so you can grow. So I'm going to go over a couple of steps that I've found useful growing our agency and building up the team, and also a lot of things that have helped consulting a lot of gyms over the years to be able to break through these self-imposed ceilings, really. And so I'm going to talk about this. It's a little bit, it is very tactical. We've got tactical things coming up in this, but it's also just do with the mindset first and foremost, because it's the mind, as you know, in the fitness game, it's the mind is that where the results happen first to get yourself into the actions and the disciplines to be able to make the outcome happen. So, but before I do, if you are a gym owner and you're wanting to know how you can make ads that convert into clients consistently, we've got a free and on-demand class that you can go to at gymgrowthclass.com/free. That's gymgrowthclass.com/free. You can go over there, you can go check it out. It's a free class, shows you exactly how we make those ads here at the agency, and you can replicate the same. Right, so let's dive into the critical thinking. I've made a few notes here to make sure that I cover everything for you guys. So it's these statements here like this: always, never, everything. Using those words, a broad brush stroke on everything. And no one and everyone. That's the other one. So when you hear a statement like this from yourself or from your team, that is a huge red flag to go, okay, we need to step back, we need to remove the emotion, and we need to go, is it really always? Is it really never? Is it really everything or every time? Or let's dive into the numbers, because let's use an example here of, say for example, Facebook ads. Some gym owners are like, oh look, I tried Facebook ads and Facebook ads just don't work. Well, do Facebook ads don't work? Is that the actual correct thing to say? Or is it more correct in saying, how many times did you try Facebook ads? Once. Okay. And that one time didn't work for you. Okay. Is it possible that there's people out there that are using Facebook ads in a different way than that you did to get a different result than you did? Yes. Now that we're thinking critically, okay? And now let's go into something that's internal within the business as well, within your business. And this is usually to do with sales. So this comes up quite a lot when I'm coaching gym owners or their sales team on sales. And they might say something, and you might be the reason why I know these things happen, our mind plays tricks on us. They try to fool us and have these things that go on, but if we're not aware of them, we can believe them. And so these things are, for example, nobody picks up the phone, or nobody wants to buy our product or service, or those sort of things. And so when it's saying nobody picks up the phone, everyone is tight with money. Everybody can't spend $50 a week on our gym. What is it? Every time I book an appointment, nobody shows. Like, all of these things are broad, what we call global statements. It's a global statement. It means you're painting everybody with the same brush. And so really, with sales, it's really simple. We just need to look at the data. And the first thing I do when I'm coaching people, when I'm going through sales stats with gyms, is like, okay, what is your number of leads? Here we go, number of leads. Great, you've got 100. Okay, how many dials did you make this week? And that's usually where it trips them up right there. They're like, I don't know. Cool. Well, if you don't know how many dials, then that's an easy fix. We just need to go back and start tracking, because that means we're not tracking any data to begin with. So to back this up, you would have to track data first and foremost to be able to find out, hey, is it really everybody? Am I really putting in the effort that I say I'm doing? Or what's the stats? It's the same like when you have a client with their food. You go, hey, have you really been eating exactly on plan, hitting your calories, hitting your macros every single day? Show me in your MyFitnessPal, or show me in however you're tracking And then if they can't produce it, then you're like, well, I find it hard to believe that that's the case because you can't produce the evidence that you've been tracking it. And so if you can't, and this is internally for yourself, you need to be able to prove to yourself, am I really tracking everything and taking the stats? So how many dials did I make? How many people picked up? How many from those conversations that picked up, how many of them did I actually have a proper conversation with and pitch them, or at least try to book them in? Then how many appointments did I book in? How many appointments showed? How many did I close? So they're kind of like, what's that? 7 stats. And so if you can go through all those statistics and then you're like, okay, out of 100 leads, how many dials did you make? And they say, oh, I made 3 dials this week. Oh, okay, so you have 100 leads and you made 3 dials. So you only contacted 3% of your total leads, correct? Like, yeah, so this is critical thinking. We're being analytical and just looking at the data, removing our emotion, because emotions can get the best of us. Anybody. And that's why going back to the data is where it's good to start. And so, okay, if that's the case, well, look, we just need to dial more. If you had you dialed 3 phone numbers out of 100, you made 3 dials, and maybe 2 of them picked up and they weren't too friendly, and then you say, all the leads are bad, or nobody wants to buy this time of year, or whatever it is that you're saying, that nobody, everybody, everything, all the time, always, never. When you're making those big, broad statements like that, have a look at it and go, really? So the fix for that scenario that I just described is literally just dial more. If you have 100 leads, you should have made 600 to 1,000 or more dials. Like, each phone number should be getting dialed at least 10, 12 times before you're like, okay, I think this person's not going to answer. And that might seem for you initially, when you're not used to this level of output, might seem a little bit extreme. And you know what? If you're okay with having average sales, then stay doing an average effort. If you want to be exceptional and be in the top, 5% of gyms that are super successful, then you need to do something different than what you've already been doing. And having these broad brush statements of things that you might think are truths, but when actuality, you look into it and think critically, instead of being emotional and irrational, if we go think non-emotional and critically, we look at it and we're like, right, our level of input, or our level of output, as a salesperson has not been up to par, up to scratch. And it's really a great, liberating thing. This is actually really exciting when you start to look at your business like this. It really does help you. And now imagine this. Let me stop it. I think you guys get the point. So you want to make sure, like, okay, you've checked all your stats, you've checked all your numbers, then you go, okay, then let's go to another scenario. Let's just say, all my appointments never show. Okay, well, you had 100 leads, you dialed all of them, and you managed to book in, say, 40 appointments. Okay, you book in 40 appointments, but the first 3 people didn't show out of 40. And then you make this statement of like, nobody shows. Let's wait to see how the rest of those 37 other appointments pan out before we make a judgment. And if those other 37 did show, now we can be like, okay, well, look, we had 37 shows. Only 3 of them didn't show, but they were the first 3. Okay, now we've actually got some better statistics and better data. Do you see where I'm going with this? Now, imagine a life like this. Imagine a life in your business life, that is, being the business owners yourself, where you have, I wrote these notes down here to make sure it is consistent growth, less stress, and less overwhelm. Imagine you had consistent growth in your business, less stress, and less overwhelm. And I'm telling you, it all starts with the critical thinking, the analytical thinking, the data-driven thinking. That's probably a better way to describe it, data-driven thinking. So if we can go back and then remove these broad brush statements of global statements of saying always, never, every time, no one, everyone. If we hear that from ourselves or from our team, that needs to be the ding, 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 light bells, the red lights going off in your head, say warning lights, say, let's assess, let's stop what we're doing, let's get the data, and let's make a proper data-driven decision. Now, to recap, when you hear always, never, everything, no one, everyone, stop, collect the data, because that is a red flag, whether it's your team or it's yourself. Start with yourself and see where are you using these global statements and where could that possibly not be the real truth. That's number one. Do that and always use data. Okay, use data. So use that. Number one, that's the red flag when you're using those statements. Number two, then go and dive into the data and ask the actual people that are involved with making the statement or yourself, where is the data? And if I'm not tracking it, okay, that's number one. I need to track it. See where the red flags are. Am I tracking it? No? Okay. Well, that's an easy fix. Let's start tracking it and you'll have less stress and less overwhelm because you have the actual reality, facts in front of you rather than made up scenarios in our head, because our brain loves to really confuse us and stress us the hell out. And I know this because I used to suffer from this, and I still do at times, where I am now acutely aware of if I'm making that statement, I need to pull back. It's probably never going to go away for you 100%, but you can diminish it massively and you can catch it and you can then get ahead of it. Just like a food craving. You can catch it. Like, the food cravings never disappear. You just get better at not falling for them when you understand how to track your macros and track your calories and then know that you've got the goal that you're driving towards. So it's about having that level of awareness and that foresight and maturity to understand, like, it's okay if it happens, but let's assess it and find out what the truth is. And so that, hopefully that helps you understand what to do with your business to have that consistent growth, because you can find out the data and make better decisions about what to do. Do I change tactic, or is it actually really good? Have consistent growth, less overwhelm and less stress within your business and within your life as well. And so that is this episode. And if you have enjoyed that and you actually want to find out how we do this with our advertising, and so you can replicate the same for yourself, go to gymgrowthclass.com/free. gymgrowthclass.com/free. It's a free and on-demand class for gym owners, and it shows you exactly the process of how to create ads that turn into paying clients consistently, and using a data-driven approach as well, and a systematic approach, so you know that you're not making these global statements and that you can actually be like, well, look, this is the process, I just need to follow it step by step. Till next time, legends, it's been fun. Love you all. Peace. See you on the next one.